Hi there, and welcome to another edition of the Gersnet Weekly Podcast, the independent Rangers podcast, which is brought to you by fans, for fans, and where the content is free. And as I say all the time, guys, it's not just the pod that we have here at Gersnet. We've got the forums over at the website. We've got the social media. There's articles. There's a history archive on the website. So get yourself over there as soon as you can. It is live tonight. We're live. It's a Friday night before Rangers play Hamilton on the Sunday. If it's your first time listening to the pod, we would encourage you to subscribe. We've got over 4,000 subscribers at the moment, and it's rising. So thanks to everyone who's subscribed so far. And as I said, if you can put the word out for us there on social media and let people know that we're here. As I said earlier, we're live tonight, but the pod will be you'll be able to download or stream the pod on a variety of platforms from tomorrow, including Acast, iTunes, YouTube, Castbox, Stitcher, and Spotify. Now that's my usual gump at the beginning out the road. I can bring in my guest, and it's Alex Anderson again tonight. The only one that wanted to come on, Alex.
I know, mate. That's me. You know, I think the rest of them are away for a wee jobby. You know, so maybe that's what it's called.
You've totally stole my line.
See, I knew I had to get in there fast. I was actually going to say I've actually just been away for a wee shirt change because this
shirt change.
This is my wife got me this for Christmas, and it's a sign of how desperate things are these days. That the first chance I get to wear it is on the laptop. So,
yeah, I know. I actually put some aftershave on the night to come on this thing. You know what I mean?
And you that's how desperate we're getting. You're absolutely fantastic. It's appreciated. The effort's appreciate.
I got it for Christmas. Did you like it? Is it nice?
Lovely, mate. Lovely.
Good. So how's your week been? Another week of lockdown. How are you coping?
I had my first week of trying to come off the chocolate. I've been off the drink for a couple of weeks, bringing it back down for Christmas, but this was the hardest one yet, coming off the chocolate. I went the full 4 days, just trying to keep it to the weekend. So I must admit, I've already been banging into dairy milk tonight. So if I'm a bit hyper, that's
how.
And won't be a good self. I've got to say, I'm surprised to see that all your devices, including your laptop and that, haven't been kind of cracked and wrecked after the other night, mate.
Well, come on to talk about that.
Night, I was a bit worried about you.
Well, you don't even go there. Honestly, it's bad at any time, isn't it, when you can't get access to the football. I can remember, see the day Connor Goldson got the last minute winner at Kilmarnock, the header, the first game of the season last year. That was on Sky that day, and we had a thunderstorm through here. And you know how like the thunder and lightning can sometimes affect your Sky. So I lost it for about an hour, and I was just going off my nut. You know what I mean? I hate when Rangers are on and I can't see it. You know what I mean? I'm either not at the game or I can't watch on the telly. And it was similar to that on Wednesday night. And we'll come on to talk about that, but it was stressful, really stressful. And I felt for my family. You know what I mean? The air was blue. But I mean, other than that, it's just been the usual lockdown. You know what I mean? It's like Groundhog Day. It was officially Groundhog Day. John was mentioning this the other day. It was Groundhog Day last week at some point. You know, I think it was the 2nd. And it kind of feels like that now, doesn't it? Every day is just, you know, I lose track of the days. It's
strange times.
Like, it is very, very strange. On to tonight's topics. I thought the 3 main ones we'd look at was the stuff for Rangers TV another night there. We've had a topic handed to us this morning with the announcement that Roof has been charged. Who saw that coming? No, me. I'm being ironic, by the way. And obviously, we'll have a wee look at the game on Sunday against Hamilton. So Rangers TV, Alex, now I know you didn't have any issues. You were very kindly trying to fix mine at one stage in the evening. But, I mean, we spoke about this, myself and John spoke about this last week on one of the shows, and it was the most frustrating thing about it was it felt like you could see it coming. You know what I mean? It felt like this was coming. You know, there was going to be real issues, and that's how it turned out. I mean, you were fine. You never had any issues, but I mean, I think loads of people had issues trying to, you know, re-register their accounts, and also when they got in, they had issues. I couldn't re-register my account. I re-registered. You know how they done the test on the Monday night with the new signings? They put up content that was, you know, interviews with Simpson and Wright. And it's like, this is your opportunity to test out the new system. Well, I couldn't get access. It wouldn't let me in. So I emailed Rangers TV at that point saying, look, I can't get access. Can you help me out? Kickoffs on Wednesday. Never got back to me in time. So when I tried again on Wednesday night to get in, it wouldn't let me in. So what I then had to do was create a new account. So I created a new account with my wife's email address, paid $9.99 to buy the match pass, so I paid extra to buy extra. And then when I got in, it wasn't working. And my mate texted me, just at that point, he says the feed stopped. And then I went on Twitter and you could just see loads of people, complaining that they couldn't get in, the feed had dropped. And other people were saying, oh no, mine's is fine. And a bit of a disaster. And one you feel, should they have done this mid-season? It seems to me that it was a strange decision to do this mid-season.
It was, mate. It was. And for all I might have been a bit cocky the other night because I was actually able to see the game, you're getting your revenge tonight because you're breaking up a bit. I don't know if it's my signal. I think it might be. So if I'm coming back at you back in a non-sequitur answer, it's because I've maybe not heard the question right. But it was funny as in weird, a strange thing the other night. I never thought I'd see the day where me watching the game on the internet, you get that same feeling that you get sometimes when you've been at games where there's been maybe an accident in the M8 or a hold up in the subway, and the crowd isn't as big as you were expecting, and there's folk you sit next to that are missing all that, and it's quite a kind of a culture shock to actually have that. How used we've got to, we're all watching it as a community online. There's a kind of virtual Ibrox experience going on, and it was the same thing. You're like, because we're all on Twitter all the time now, especially because that's how you're talking to your pals, about the game. I'm seeing all the messages coming in saying, I'm not getting on here, I'm not getting on. God knows how I got on, mate. I am the biggest technophobe in the world. It was just totally jammy. I logged in, my fingers crossed, and I went. Whereas earlier in the season, when there was no problems at Rangers TV's end, I was managing to make an arse of it, and I was missing the first 5 minutes of games because I was trying to load it in 15 devices and what have you. But ironically, the one time it's bad for everybody else, I managed to get on. But it really interfered with me knowing that there was boys out there that couldn't watch the game. It's quite a strange thing. You realised how used we've become in the space of the last season to having the crowd experience online, if you like, because nobody else, other folk only seen it. You're only having that kind of community experience, and you're getting to the stage where if something like that happened again, you'd be wondering if they'd actually be able to kind of hold the game up. The way they used to, when there's a log jam in the M8. Half the crowd isn't here yet. Hold the kick up for 15 minutes. It's getting to the stage where maybe they should do that with Rangers TV. But I felt heart sorry for everybody who couldn't get in. But all I can say is it was interfering with my enjoyment of the game as well, because I was, one of my pals, Robert, good Rangers man and an even better tech man. He knows the stuff inside out. He knows how to get on the other streams and what have you. He knows his computers inside out. So when he was tweeting saying, I can't get on here, I knew the problem was at Rangers TV end. Yeah. And as you say, everybody was expecting it. Everybody was thinking, why are they doing this mid-season? Or in February. It should just have been left to the summer.
Yeah, that's how it feels to me. It feels that, the minute they announced it, I was like, this seems a strange time to be doing this. And it's a bad time to be doing it because, my concern now is we're 5-6 games away from the title. Can you imagine the outrage if we're on the verge of winning it at Ibrox and Rangers TV goes down? It would. It doesn't even bear thinking about this, the sort of anger. And I was really disappointed with some of the stuff that came out on Twitter from official accounts. One sort of blamed a third party. They didn't do their side yet. We're dealing with it as quickly as we can. And the email I got an email back in the second half. I sent the email on the Monday saying, look, can you fix this? The game's on Wednesday. Nothing. Midway through the second half, I get an email from them saying, oh, this is what you need to do. Which is no use to man or beast, really. I've already had to set up a new profile and buy a match pass. So really, it really was disappointing. As I said, I question the need to do it mid-season, and we can only hope that whatever problems, what caused this is fixed for the next game. Because now I'm nervous about the next game. Sunday's fine because it's at Hamilton. It's on Sky. But I am now really nervous about the next game at Ibrox. Am I going to have this issue again? Am I going to struggle to get logged on? And then when I get logged on, am I going to get a stream? So, Yeah, I think it's something that needs to be fixed and fixed quickly because, as you pointed out, this is the only way we can get to see the games at the moment. Fans have paid a lot of money for this. You know, I've paid my season ticket. I've paid for 2 season tickets this year. Then I had to pay an extra $9.99, and I still only got 45 minutes. You know, which is pretty poor. So yeah, I would hope the club, you know, get this fixed and get it fixed quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. As we've said before, it's one of the things where you know that you would pay $9.99 or whatever it is for a game. You know, if you were just, you know, if you didn't have a season ticket, you'd only pay $9.99. The price of the season ticket you were paying is well over what we'd have to pay to watch it on Rangers TV, and none of us mind that. You know, and the club have been great this season. Everything's going absolutely fantastically on and off the park. This has been a downer.
Yeah.
So we would hope it doesn't work because it's all about, we're all frustrated enough that we're not actually going to be in the stadiums when hopefully we clinch 55. But if we can't even see it in the telly, I mean, I've been stuck outside games a couple of times where you're actually going, it's the worst feeling in the world. We can hear the crowd inside it, but to actually experience that, you know, via watching it on the internet is really, it's quite weird, and hopefully get that sorted.
Yeah, I would hope so. I would hope the club, you know, have learned their lesson and they get it fixed. Because as I say, now my fear is, you know, on the day that we do win it, I'm going to be sitting trying to log in. You know what I mean? But moving away from that, hopefully it'll get fixed. On to today's news, Alex, and I don't think anyone's surprised. I mean, we're all annoyed, we're all angry that this has come up because I think it's so predictable now, you know. But Stephen Gerrard announced today at his press conference that the club had received a notice of complaint with regards to Kemar Roof on, you know, his challenge on Wednesday night. Now, first thing I'll ask you is, do you think he should have been sent off during the game? I mean, my view is, I had to watch it on Sports Scene, you know, because I missed the entire first half. So I had to catch up on events in the first half via Sports Scene. Do you think it was a red card? I thought it was. I thought he was lucky to stay on.
Yeah, it's a red card. It's a red card all day long. I think you just need to do that wee trick of imagining if it was happening to a Rangers player. And I think when you see the replays, slow-mo replays that night on Sports Scene, you see one of Davidson's leg. You see the way his foot's getting bent back. That's a red card all day long. We've got I don't think any sensible Rangers fans got a complaint about that. But I'm still trying to work out why there's retrospective action. I'm kind of embarrassed, or I was kind of embarrassed at the fact I wasn't expecting this. I thought if there was a yellow card given out, the referee has seen it and dealt with it, then that's it. You know, there can't be any kind of retrospective action. But no, it's happened, and I found it was actually in pretty good company with Shelley Kerr, the ex-manager of the Scotland women's team, you know, James McFadden, the ex-assistant manager of the Scotland national team, even your friend and mine, Jonathan Sutherland, you know, on the Sports Scene couch, they all kind of said out loud that they presumed there would be no retrospective action because he had been booked at a time, you know. And I think you could see when it actually happened, you know, the way he goes in, you know, at first glance, it didn't look that bad. You know, it's when you saw the slow-mo replays that you can see it was bad, you know. But what I don't know, maybe you can tell me, Colin, he's been cited for, is it violent conduct? Because of intent? Because I just don't think there's any intent there at all. I think he's gone in, the role he was playing was the Alfredo Morelos role of holding the ball up. And you know Roof's game, same as Alfie would be in that role, but Roof's game especially is to get his body in there in between him and the player. He was playing all night like a guy who was half a yard off the pace because he's a guy who's coming back from injury. He was just out of scoring a few goals because he was just that wee bit slow. I think the tackles, the way he's landed on Murray Davidson has come from that as well. So I'm struggling to see why he's been cited.
I mean, I would agree. There's no intent. You know, it comes from the fact that I think you're right. I don't think he had the best night, Roof. I think he struggled from what I've seen and from comments I've seen online from the first half. You know, he had an off night, and you know he doesn't control it. You know, the ball kind of bounces off him, and he's trying to recover it. And I think he's trying to put his body between the ball and Davidson, and he lands. He just happens to plant his leg on Davidson and catch him. I don't think there's any intent. But I think the point that you've raised about, once a player's been booked, it's assumed if the ref's dealt with it, they've seen it and they've dealt with the issue. But there's been a couple of occasions this season when that's not quite been the case, because there was the tackle on Ryan Edwards. Now, I think he was booked at the time, and then he was cited retrospectively, but was found not guilty. No issue. Even although, Morelos had a hole in his knee. Then Morelos was involved at Tannadice, if you remember. The first one that Morelos received a retrospective ban for. Again, he was booked. The referee booked him for that. And so everyone assumed that, there's not going to be any further action. But they seem to be finding wee loopholes that they can just bring in for certain incidents, and someone being booked all of a sudden doesn't matter anymore. We're going to take retrospective action, and we're going to offer you 3 games. Now, Steven Gerrard said in the last one with Morelos, the one when he stood on Ryan Porteous, there was no case for the defence. They couldn't defend it. They had to accept the charge, which is fair enough, because I think we all agree that Morelos was lucky that night. It'll be interesting to see what the club do with this one, though, because even when he was talking about the Morelos one, he said he was happy to accept the charge, but he nor the club were happy with some of the consistency of how the rules are applied. And this is another example today. We had the incident with Scott Brown through the week. Another elbow. I've lost count how many times his elbows catch people. No retrospective action. And then we've got this one where Ruth, who was booked for the incident, so you assume that everything's fine. There can't be any retrospective action based on the rules. And I think the timing of it as well, just before Steven Gerrard goes into his press conference, that feels slightly deliberate to me. You know what I mean? It feels a wee bit almost like 2 fingers up at the club, if you know what I mean. Because Gerrard had said, literally 5 minutes before I came to my press conference, I found out. So he's a little bit ill-prepared to answer questions about it. So, what did the club do about this? Because they're obviously not happy. You know what I mean? And where do we go for here?
First thing I think they do is they appeal it. I'm assuming if we appeal it, that means Roof plays on Sunday. Which apart from anything else, I think he needs to. I think we need him fit for when we play Standard Liège. If we play Royal Antwerp. I think we just need to get him, some volume in his legs, as Stevie G would call it. The overall issue, there's so many sidebars to this. It's like it's a whole hour-long Sunday pod in itself, But even just the other night, Tuesday night, I think it was. Never mind the Celtic game. We've all got the blue blinkers on. We think everything they do is evil, But apparently, I'm just hearing, from our producer that he's got to we'll have to Monday to appeal. So Roof's playing Sunday anyway. So appeal to get him the Kilmarnock game, anyway. And you might find out it was just it looks political. The whole thing kind of looks political. And this comes down to, I don't necessarily mean, Rangers hating or whatever. It's like the SFA are reacting to the level of publicity that's given to any incident. And that is obviously going to end up, you would think, with Rangers and Celtic being punished overly harshly, every time there's a major incident. But it actually seems to just be ourselves, and I can't help thinking the Ajeti thing today, him being cited for diving for a penalty, which even I, as no admirer of Celtic, found that a bit strange. It seems to be a reaction to the fact that a decision's been debated heavily, or thinking about it cynically, with my blue blinkers on, I feel as if that's one they can say, well, Celtic have been cited as well.
Yeah, it did feel political.
And they'll just appeal that, and it'll be thrown out of court. But even the other night, Tuesday night, the night before we played Aberdeen against Livingston, Lewis Ferguson goes in the fella Mullen, an absolute belter, just kind of forearm smash to the guy's face. Just knowing Lewis Ferguson's kind of records, knowing how he plays the game, it looked terrible. It looked, and I don't know. I've been checking the BBC website. I don't see that he's been cited. I don't really. I just don't know how it's working. It seems to be a system that's biased against anybody who receives a lot of coverage. any football club that receives a lot of coverage, and that's going to be us, but it should also be our friends across the city. And Scott Brown's entire game has been stamping. Sorry, the guy's a great athlete. He's a great player, whether we like him or not. But so much of his game is about leaving the boot in, putting the studs in. He's a very self-conscious guy as well. He's actually got a touch of the Morelos attitude. I think that's why the two of them set each other off. And that he likes to. He's very petty, very kind of self-aware, and he doesn't like anybody getting the better of him. He can't let anything go. So he does leave the studs in all the time. That gets picked up all the time on television, but it doesn't seem to get cited for it.
It doesn't result in action, and I think that's inconsistency. I think the thing that worries me is, and I think a lot of Rangers supporters feel the same, is it's becoming predictable. When you're seeing incidents, you think they're not going to get cited. When you see other incidents involving Rangers players, I don't think anyone was shocked at the news today. You know what I mean? No. I think, like you said on Sports Scene the other night, and they're all saying, well, he's been booked, there can't be any further action. But I think all of us were thinking, well, just watch them try and make something of this, and that's exactly how it's worked out.
My shock came from I didn't realise there could be any other action. I didn't actually know the rules because I don't remember. There is cases obviously, but it's like upgrading a punishment. This whole thing of refereeing the match. Yeah. It just seems, and I was quite hopeful because we're worried that we're all worried that it's trial by Sports Scene, and the fact that the Sports Scene panel that night on Wednesday night was actually quite kind about it. I mean, they have to highlight it because it was an incident, but there was none of this. I mean, we've all got a problem with Ian Crocker these days because of the way he went on relentlessly about the Alfie incident against Hibs. But when a guy who should have been sent off in the first half scores the only goal of the game in the second half, there's a reason he's doing that. He just shouldn't have been going about it so often. I think it's just lazy editorially. He doesn't actually have anything else to say except this kind of lazy line about Alfredo Morelos is the only guy who's ever done anything malicious in the entire history of Scottish football. But I felt as if the other night Sports Team were quite reasonable about it, and I thought that was it. So you can't even predict now when we're going to get cited. You're just thinking any incident that happens, there's a chance we're going to lose a player.
I think, and I mean that's the thing that gets me is you're. How can I put it? It feels deliberate, if you know what I mean. Now that again, you don't want to go down the road of sounding like a paranoid fan and all the rest of it, right? But you do sometimes get a feeling that we're being rubbed up the wrong way, and it seems to me, going with Gerard's comments in the last couple of press conferences, that the club feel this as well. You know what I mean? And Gerard had mentioned in a previous press conference last week that they were trying to turn down the noise coming for the club in terms of statements and stuff like that, which is fair enough. But it feels to me that they're not issuing statements because they don't think there's anything wrong. They've stopped issuing statements because they don't think they're working. And if anything, it's having a negative effect on the sort of image of the club, and they're trying to find a different way. It does feel to me that Rangers are doing stuff in the background on this, that they are chipping away saying, wait a minute, what exactly is going on here? Because it's constant. It's every single time. I can't remember the last time there was an incident with a Rangers player and it was caught on camera and there was no retrospective action, or at least a charge chucked his way. You know what I mean? And that to me is quite concerning. Someone went onto the SFA website last week and put up a spreadsheet on Twitter of all the clubs that had received retrospective charges and all that kind of thing. And it makes remarkable reading. It really does. It's in black and white. You know what I mean? When you look at it, you wouldn't be in a position to deny that there's an issue with how clubs are getting treated on this thing. And I think it's something that needs to be addressed quickly. And we mentioned it last week on Sunday's show that maybe Peter Lawwell going was an opportunity to, change things a wee bit, because I think he has got quite a lot of power, in the sort of the higher echelons of the SFA and the SPFL. But the club has to find a solution to this because it can't continue.
I think Steven Gerrard is really good today. I mean, I love listening to him. Obviously, I'm going to love everything he does now because we're so far ahead in the league. He's working miracles. But as a typical Rangers manager, managing to combine that kind of ambassadorial thing with also being really pointed in what he's saying, he sounded today like a man who was keeping his powder dry. Because I think, as you say, these things that go on behind the scenes, I think a lot of people realise there's a kind of there's a lot of rats deserting the sinking Celtic ship just now, you know, and I don't just mean like Lowell himself. I think because Lowell is going, a lot of influence will be lost, and the way he went about his business, so much the better. For me, it was kind of odious at times. It's seriously unsporting is the kind of nicest thing I could say about the Lowell regime over there, the way they were working things behind the scenes. But I think a lot of friends in the media, a lot of people in the media, and when it's coming through the media, that's how we're getting cited, because there's a lot of emphasis on Rangers players. But I think a lot of them are just kind of might is right types. And it's slowly, quickly in terms of the last 10 years, but it's really quickly changing. But I think you're seeing a real melting of a real thawing of a lot of kind of icy attitudes towards Rangers. There's a lot of people in the media who just see football as there's a team who's winning all the time and can't do any wrong, and there's a team who aren't winning and they're an absolute joke. You know, and in Scotland, those teams are the first place and second place team. And I think Rangers, having just shot so far ahead this season, you can see a lot of attitudes changing towards us. So I think we're maybe kind of trying to suss this one out. I would hope this club appeal it, and maybe it will be thrown out. Maybe it will be rejected altogether. But I think maybe can I keep our powder dry even to the end of this season, and then we'll see how it changes when we are champions and there's no Lowell at Celtic, there's no Lennon throwing, you know, stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks. You know, we'll see what happens.
Right, Alex. Before we go into the game on Sunday, I should let the viewers and the listeners know about Rangers Picks. If you want the opportunity to win a share of £1,000 jackpot, then head over to www.rangerspicks.com and play Rangers Picks, the new Rangers Pick'em game. It's available for every game that Rangers play. It's totally free, and the more fans that play, then the more money the club receives. To play, all you have to do is go over to the website and answer several questions about the game on Saturday. How many corners, how many goals, how many players will be cited retrospectively? There's one for you. That kind of thing, right? And then if you get more right than anyone else, then you're in with a chance of winning a share of this £1,000. You must be over 18 to play. Terms and conditions apply. And as always, guys, when it comes to these things, please play responsibly. Also, I need to highlight football prizes that Frankie's got going at the moment. He's got a Brian Laudrup signed jersey on the go. He's stuck a tweet out today about it. The tickets are going fast. They're £4.95, so a fiver to win with a chance of winning a Brian Laudrup signed shirt. But the tickets are going fast. So head over to Frankie's Twitter to see what's happening on that one. Right, Alex, back to the stuff in hand now that the official business is out the way. Hamilton on Sunday. I saw you putting out some stuff today about tickets and all the rest of it from games from yesteryear, the old Douglas Park. Did you ever go for a job at half-time?
I didn't. No, I didn't.
No?
I might have done. I forgot about it, but I remember us scoring. I mean, the first goal of 9 in a row. Scored at the old Douglas Park.
Gary Stevens.
Gary Stevens, yeah. Gary Stevens.
And Alan McCoy's got the second.
That's the one, mate. That's the one. I was there for that one, you know. But I was also there when they beat us in the Scottish Cup in '87. You know, and I was, and of course, the last team to beat us in the league. You know,
this is very true.
League football in Scotland, and I was there for that one as well. So all in all, you know, put it all together, I'm just a jinx, you know. But
yeah, about a jinx, Alex.
Well, a cracking club, Hamilton.
They are. I mean, there's, you know, in recent years, they've kind of became a club notorious for, you know, giving young players a chance, and I think you've got to doff your hat to that. And they also just seem to, year after year, just with the skin of their teeth, avoid relegation and just keep going. So, I mean, there's a lot of clubs in Scottish football that I don't have a huge amount of time for. I can't say that Hamilton are one that particularly bother me. I think they do a good job there. I think they're a good club, and I've got a wee bit of time for them. But obviously, I want them pumped on Sunday and roundly. And on that, Stephen Gerrard today's press conference, no sort of new injury worries. Although Defoe's out at the moment with a calf, they expect him back next week. New signings, Simpson and Wright could be available. Do you think they might make an appearance at some point?
I think it depends how the game goes, mate. I think maybe, if it all goes according to plan, if it all goes the way we want it to, if it all goes the way it did the first half when we played them at Ibrox, then I would, we're 4-0 up at half time. I would maybe like to see them coming on, and if we're going to lose Kamara Roof with Alfio out as well, we maybe need to get right on to get him bled in, so to speak, get him kind of warmed up. Just want to check the two of them out. Really, I want to know, as we've all been talking about in this pod, none of us seem to have actually realised Scott Wright was a player. So I want to see him. I was checking through the stats here, and he's been player of the match in 2 Aberdeen games this month. Even when Aberdeen haven't been doing that well. So, he's obviously an option. But I just want to make sure it's not just they're not going to be the new Brandon Barker and George Edmondson. I just want to know that these guys are any good. And if the big man Simpson is sort of 6'4", get him in the box and let's get a few high balls onto him. But I would just go as solid a starting 11 as we can get. 6 games to go, Colin. Win 6 games and we are champions. I would just scoot out there and get this sorted as quickly as we possibly can. It's a good time to get Hamilton. I know there's a bit of talk because of the terrible weather going about the country just now. There's a bit of talk, maybe the game, an outside chance the game could be off or something like that. I really hope not, because that was a terrible, nothing against Hamilton, as I say, but the other night that was a real blow for them. That was a game that basically put them bottom of the table. They were kept on bottom of the table, and they were winning it. They were going to go above Ross County with 10 minutes to go, and they chucked it in the last 10 minutes. So they're going to be in a bad place just now, and I think we should be able to go out there and take full advantage.
Take advantage of that. Yeah. Speaking of the pitch, Stephen Gerrard again was asked about this at his press conference today, and it is something that's been an issue with Rangers in the past. The dreaded artificial pitches. He seemed to be quite dismissive of it. He would sort of said, we train on them, we've played on them before, we know what to expect. Almost taking any excuses away from the players. And I must admit, in the past when we've struggled on these pitches, I'm kind of caught between two places. Part of me thinks, well, there's these pitches are at Auchenhowie. The guys train on these pitches. The home team, your Kilmarnocks, Hamilton, Livies, they play on these pitches every week. We've got better players than them. So part of me thinks like that. Well, it's the same for everybody. We've got the better players. We should be able to deal with this. But another part thinks, maybe it is a leveller. It maybe is something that when you turn up, it just gives the home team that wee bit of an issue. I can remember when I come back to my amateur days when I played Sunday amateur, one of the local teams we used to play against, Banknock, they had a red ash pitch. So everybody played in grass, and they had a red ash pitch, and hardly anybody came away for that ground with a result. Every team that turned up, because they were playing in grass, they just even although we all grew up playing on red ash pitches, when we went back to it, no one could deal with it. So when I remember stuff like that, I think it can be a leveller. But another part of me thinks, we're better players. We should be able to deal with this. We've got 22 guys out there, and we've got the best 11. So could play in the brick road, and they should be able to beat them. But I don't think it quite works like that. No,
you didn't come away with a result, but you came away with about 25 wee red stones stuck under your kneecap that you were picking out until the following game. I think Hamilton's the best of the three we face in the top flight this season. I think it's the best of the 3 plastic pitches, and I think the fact that what worries me more is injuries, and I don't think that's going to apply. Even Roof, a man who looks as if he might be prone to an injury. It was in Gibraltar, when we're playing Lincoln Red Imps, he just kind of pulled up on a plastic pitch over there. Kilmarnock is terrible, and Livingston used the old black chips all over it, the black rubber chips all over it. It's a terrible pitch as well. But the game at Easter Road in particular brought it home to me. I actually, and Ibrox wasn't looking that great on Wednesday night either, if you can see it. It actually made me think we're needing a plastic pitch. Terrible. It was making me think we're maybe needing a wee plastic pitch just now, or just get a smooth run of the ball and let our football players, play their football properly. Because I think at Easterwood in particular, not just the chance that Alfie missed just after he'd scored with the ball bobbled up. I feel as if there was, I think the whole first half it took us a while to get our game going, because that midfield, I know it's seen as a defensive midfield when we play Jack, Kamara and Davis, but the way Rangers play is if we just keep feeding the ball relentlessly to our front men, and they three together do that, they're like nobody else we've got at Ibrox. And I think we could have won that game a lot more handsomely if it had been, a better pitch. So I think, although it might hold up a bit if it's doing the old sponge thing just now and soaking up all this rain, I'm not too worried about the surface at Hamilton. I think it might actually suit us.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, because we are, we're a football on side. That said, you've brought me on to my next question. There was an interesting question asked today about, the different ways that Rangers can play at the moment, the different things that they've got in their armoury. They're good at set pieces. We can create goals for nothing. The goals are getting shared around the team. And, Gerrard was asked, why is it like that this season? And he sort of said, well, we've got the players that we want in. It's taken a few years to get the right players in. We've got better players in, and we're working hard on the training ground on different aspects of the game, set pieces, defensively, shape, all that kind of thing. And it does, from the word go, I wouldn't even say from the start of the domestic season. I would say that pre-season tournament over in France, we looked like a very, very different side that does have, different things that we can bring to the table when we're not going to break a team down through, out passing them and playing through them. We'll get something from a set piece. And it is, last year we were so reliant on Morelos. This year, totally different.
Aye, well, the kind of cliche, but there'll just be no plan B. That just does not apply. We get real depth now, Colin. We look the business. I think it applies as much to the players as well. We keep having, we're losing a player, maybe through suspension or he's taking a wee dip in form, and then other guys are stepping up to the plate. Yanis Hadji, at the beginning of this season, at spells of this season, you thought, oh, is that boy going to get another chance? He's kind of fell away a bit or whatever. And then I think he's joint king of the assists with Tav, and he's scoring crucial goals for us. He's classic. That's becoming a trademark now as well. He's cutting in through the right and then pulling it back. The way he scored the goal against Hibs, the way he scored against Hibs last season at Ibrox into the Courtland, the way he scored the other night. You're seeing players just stepping up to the mark, and you're seeing those players utilised in different ways. I think the big eye-opener this season for us was when we went to Rugby Park, a place where we famously have seemed unable to get out of a kind of rut of just playing the same style, but unable to react to the fact that Kilmarnock had it sussed. When we were pinging, I hate using the quarterback phrase, but when Jack was pinging the balls to Big Itten, and it was just working sublimely. It wasn't just like lumping a high ball up to a big fella. It was a guy who was going out wide and controlling the ball and holding up play and giving us that breather. It was, and then every time you think you've got as sussed, even as a supporter watching Rangers, when you think you know what our best option is, they'll go and do something else. And the Motherwell game at Ibrox were, all right, they've pinned us back. They've pinned back Barisic and Tavernier. I think Tav ended up setting up 2 of the goals later on in that game, but we just started going through the middle and just running through them, And as Stevie G was alluding to today, mate, I think it's not that they never had that tactical kind of awareness. The team he's got knows what they're doing. It was more like, I'm just in the door. We're going to have to set the template down early. This is a 3-4 year plan, and at first it's going to look like we can only play one way. Yeah. But then once everybody gets bedded in, you're adding depth, and they're getting these players in who know what they're doing. They know how to fit into Stevie G, Michael Beale, Tom Culshaw's idea of the team, but they then also discover other things about these players and how they can utilise them in different ways, and it's an organic thing, and we're in great hands.
I suppose that the biggest compliment you can pay to Steven Gerrard and the players this season, and how they've went about winning games, is we beat Celtic without getting a shot on target. That's what we've got. We can even go through a game without having a shot on target and still win it. So yeah, we're looking good this season. Final sort of point of the night, Alex. Hamilton, as you pointed out earlier on, they're sitting bottom of the league at the moment. as they often do at this stage of the season, but they all seem to pull it out of the hat. 4 points behind Ross County. I think they've got a couple of games in hand, though. I was looking at some of the stuff from the last time we were at New Douglas Park, and I think Hamilton went 4-4-2 that day. I think that's a formation that Brian Rice likes. I think he likes 2 up top. For a team that sits down at the bottom, they're not one that plays, how can I put it, really defensively. They always try and have a bit of a go, Hamilton, you know what I mean? And I think it's part of the ethos that they've got of bringing on young players. They want them to be brave, want them to go and express themselves. They're not a team that I think sits in a lot, and I think that'll be the same on Sunday. I think they'll maybe see 4-4-2. I think they'll try and have a go, and I think that suits us.
Yes, I have to be honest. I think the boy for Rangers TV's got a hold of my computer here, Colin, and I've only picked up wee bits of that. So forgive me if I'm repeating what you say, but I think you're alluding to the fact that we can expect Hamilton to be a bit braver, maybe come out a bit. Than other teams. I don't know. You're talking about the Hamilton style of play anyway. I thought it was interesting. I found it the other night watching Sports Scene. Him and Brian Rice, a lovely fella, and John Hughes, another guy I quite like. They used to be roomies, teammates and roommates, and I think they share a lot of the same kind of attitude as well. It did for Hamilton at Ibrox. Brian Rice just kept attacking. I felt sorry for him that day. As much as I can feel sorry for anybody when we need the title, as badly as we do. But I'm thinking they've got a kind of ideology, these guys, where they're not going to be completely all out gung-ho, but they will try and play the game, the way it should be played, if you like. They will try and come at us and take something from us. And I think the game, when we beat them 2-0 earlier in the season, Hamilton didn't come out. You could see it was because we weren't letting them out. We were just overpowering them, but they were trying to get out that day. And then at Ibrox, they were trying far too hard. They should have sat in. God bless them. I'm glad they didn't. But I think we need I hope Hamilton end up surviving the season. I hope they stay up. There's other teams I would quite like to see going down who are asking their fans for money right now and seem to be plummeting down the table. That would do me fine. But I hope I hope Hamilton's comeback this season doesn't start against us on Sunday, mate. I don't think it will. Yeah,
I would agree with that. I mean, obviously, if the game goes ahead, I think we should be fine. I think we should get the 3 points. Alex, I think that's us for tonight. I think we've pretty much covered everything on the agenda. Looking at the time, that's not too bad. So, yeah, that's all for this special edition of the Gersnet Weekly Podcast, your preview show there for the Hamilton game. We'll have the pod on Sunday night to cover the game, obviously. So tune in for that. A big thanks to Alex for his comments. Great stuff as always, even though he was only hearing half of what I was saying. In the meantime, get yourself onto the Gersnet website and forums at www.gersnet.co.uk. And until Sunday night, bye for now.